බිස්කට් වේදිකාවට දැන් පැමිණි සීග්‍රගාමී රසේ මංචි පොටේටෝ ක්‍රැකර්. බිස්කට් වේදිකාවට දැන් පැමිණි සීග්‍රගාමී රසේ මංචි පොටේටෝ ක්‍රැකර්.
On satellite, on Freeview, on cable, on radio, on mobile, on the web and around the world. This is First at 9 on Other Derana 24/7.
Making headlines first at 9, crossover plans. Minister Lakshman Kiriyalla says the number of MPs are ready to leave the government. Developing the economy. Minister Partli Champika praises the development projects by former president and reveals how the Perpetual Treasuries makes billions. On the world stage, President Maithripalas to visit the United States next month to attend the 72nd United Nations General Assembly. And headlines from the world of sports. Indian whitewash, ruthless India complete test series sweep against Sri Lanka with second successive innings victory.
This was a really tough series as a team. Good day, good win for us.
And in international headlines, coalition in crisis. Australian Deputy Prime Minister confirmed to be dual national. Conservative government's majority threatened. Bringing you the latest from here at home and all around the world. Good evening, everyone. This is First at 9 on Other Derana 24/7. I am Mahesh Johnny. Tonight we begin with a report on the President's visit to the UN General Assembly. President Maithripalas is scheduled to visit the United States next month to attend the 72nd United Nations General Assembly session. The general debate will open on Tuesday, the 19th of September.
The 72nd regular session of the United Nations General Assembly will convene at the UN headquarters on Tuesday, the 12th of September, and President Maithripalas is due to attend the session on the 19th. This will mark the third time President Sirisena attends the UN General Assembly since he assumed duties as the head of state. All heads of state of UN member nations are due to attend the General Assembly session. The President has also planned to hold bilateral discussions with several other heads of state during his visit to the USA. Meanwhile, President Maithripalas held a progress review meeting today regarding the construction of the Museum and Information Center in Polonnaruwa. 600 million rupees are being spent on both facilities, falling under the Rajaratanavodaya Pibidemu Polonnaruwa District Development Project. The President advised the relevant officials to complete construction as soon as possible.
Minister of Highways and Higher Education Lakshman Kiriyalla says the reported resignation of several members of parliament from the governing party does not mean the government is breaking down. The minister made these comments in response to questions raised by journalists following a function held in Kandy today. No, there is no such competition. It will be decided by the President and the Prime Minister. There are people who remain as well as those who leave. In fact, there are more of them expecting to come. But we did not take them since ministries were limited under the 19th Amendment. We reached the limit, so we couldn't take more. Yes, there is speculation to that effect. Only 7 or 8 of them will leave, not more than that. but we will take the government forward no matter what happens. We will hold Pradesh Sabha elections in either December or January. I will table the new Local Government Act in Parliament next week. General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Minister Duminda Dissanayake, says the conduct of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa has been an obstacle to the progress of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. However, parliamentarians Dilan Pereira and President of the Federation of Sri Lankan Local Government Authorities, Udeni Athukorala, expressed different views in this regard.
Who is not allowing SLFP members to stick with the party? It is true that Mahinda Rajapaksa was defeated on the 8th of January, but that doesn't mean the SLFP lost. We don't care about an individual. The misfortune of this country is that the one who lost will try to make the winner stumble. Maithripalas Sirisena and Mahinda Rajapaksa are long-time friends. No matter how much they fight, they will reconcile. If the SLFP did not divide, the UNP would have lost on the very day they asked for votes. Harin Fernando himself says that he cannot handle things anymore. And now members of the UNP are bringing no confidence motions against their own people. Dilan Pereira says that Duminda Dissanayake should be removed from the General Secretary's position, which indicates how broken the SLFP is. If they want to rebuild this party, not just Duminda Dissanayake, but Dilan Pereira and SB Dissanayake should also be removed. They should bring good leaders into these positions.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says good governance has changed the old culture of protecting politicians accused of wrongdoing. He made these remarks at a book launch ceremony held at the Bandaranaike Memorial International Conference Hall today.
3 books were launched by Sujit Akkaravatta today under the theme of Shastra Hendeva at the BMICH, the ceremony for which was attended by Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe.
If somebody is accused as a wrongdoer, they should resign from their position. The previous culture was that they did not resign even after being proven at fault. That had to change. That kind of culture has been brought for the first time under good governance. Under good governance, they resign, as right or wrong can be decided later.
A no-confidence motion was filed recently against then Minister of Foreign Affairs Ravi Karunanayake, leading to the minister's resignation before the motion was tabled in Parliament. Minister of Justice and Buddha Sasana Vijayadasa Rajapaksa is the latest to have a motion mooted against him. Now, here are some views expressed on the matter today.
Minister Vijayadasa Rajapaksa is the only one who has turned traitor to the government. A no-confidence motion should have been issued against him long ago. It was hilarious to see those who used to denounce Minister Vijayadasa Rajapaksa now call to him with open arms. Minister Rajapaksa, I know how straightforward you are. Don't take the bait. If the UNP throws you out, come to President Maithripalas Sirisena. If a public representative loves the country, whether he is in the government or the opposition, we won't raise our hands to harm him. Around 80 files have been completed by the police and handed over to the Attorney General's department. Why are the cases being delayed? It has been more than a year. We believe that there is a systematic mechanism for this. Thus, we have the right to raise our voices. Our party has no plans for a no-confidence motion, but we will discuss the issue at length when the Central Working Committee convenes on the 17th.
The Bar Association of Sri Lanka condemns the allegations that Minister of Justice and Buddha Sasana Vijayadasa Rajapaksa is attempting to influence the Attorney General's department. Addressing media today, the Bar Association's President, Attorney-at-Law U.R. De Silva, added that the establishment of a special court on corruption cases was among the reasons for the delay in taking up the relevant cases.
We condemn the allegation that the Minister of Justice is pointing fingers at the Attorney General's department in an attempt to influence it. Such an allegation should be backed up by facts. Our association is startled by this situation, which has arisen due to freewheeling statements made by some politicians and their attempts to disseminate their ideas among the public for mere political gain. We have clearly stated that there is a delay, and the reasons behind it have been clearly stated by the Justice Minister.
මාදයට හේතුව අධිකරණ ඇමතිතුමා පැහැදිලිව කියලා තියෙනවා.
ප්‍රසිද්ධියේ රජයේ ඇමතිවරු සහ මන්ත්‍රීවරුන් නීතිගත දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ ඒ කමිෂන් එකට සම්බන්ධ වෙලා නිලධාරීන් පෞද්ගලිකව ඉලක්ක කොටගෙන ප්‍රකාශන කළා.
කොමිසම ඉතාම
People see through media that the commission is carrying out its duties with dedication. When politicians who weren't even there at the proceedings point fingers at the commission and make various statements, it's an insult.
ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා කියලා කියන්නේ ඒක කොමිසමට අපහාසයි.
Welcome back, everyone. Minister of Megapolis and Western Development, Partly Champika Ranamaka, says that Perpetual Treasuries Limited accounts clearly show that it defrauded the Treasury. The minister made these remarks at a media briefing held at the Jathika Hela Urume party office today.
First of all, I want to clarify that there are two bond scams. The first one took place in February 2015 for a value of 10 billion rupees. The second transaction took place in March 2016 to the tune of 77 billion rupees. These monies went to bank accounts of Perpetual Treasuries Limited. The balance sheet of the company clearly shows it. Perpetual Treasuries was set up in 2014 with a capital of 300 million rupees. By April 2015, it had assets up to 25 billion rupees. What they did was set up a company to rob the Treasury in daylight. This is the Treasury document over the new bond issuance system. It clearly says that because of this system, interest rates in the financial market went up by 4 to 5%. This government came to power not because of a shortcoming in the development activities of the previous government. Former President Maithripalas managed development projects properly. He did it beyond boundaries. He was defeated as people believed that there was corruption under his development projects. What the present government did was take advantage of people's beliefs. If Perpetual Treasuries thinks that the court case over the bond issue will take 20 or 30 years and that they will not have to pay it back, they are mistaken.
The Presidential Commission of Inquiry probing central bank bond issuance today allowed a lawyer representing former CBSL Governor Arjuna Mahendran to witness the extraction of data from the communication devices used by his client. The Commission had ordered Arjuna Mahendran to surrender all communication devices used since 2015, a directive with which he complied.
Former Governor of the Central Bank, Arjuna Mahendran, had handed over his mobile phones and other communication devices to the Commission, but lawyers representing him requested that they may be allowed to be present when data is extracted. The Attorney General's Department expressed their objection to the move, but the Commission, after considering arguments from both parties, approved the request. The Commission told the officials of the Attorney General's Department that they are also allowed to send a representative. The devices, after the data extraction process, will be kept in the possession of the Commission until Arjuna Mahendran's testimony is complete. The same procedure will be applied to the communication devices surrendered by Perpetual Treasuries Limited CEO Kasun Palisena.
In other local stories, the Ministry of Health says that while the government's takeover of the Neville Fernando Teaching Hospital was sealed only through a letter of intent, a more detailed agreement is being drafted by the Attorney General's Department. The Government Medical Officers Association, however, was up in arms against the lack of official agreement, calling for the resignation of Minister of Health Dr. Rajitha Senaratne, alleging that he misled the country.
Releasing a statement, Secretary of the Ministry of Health, Nutrition and Indigenous Medicine, Janaka Sugatadasa said, quote, "The formal legal instrument to this effect will soon be signed once the agreement currently being drafted by the Attorney General is finalized," unquote. Alleging that Minister of Health Dr. Rajitha Senaratne had deceived the country, the Government Medical Officers Association called on President Maithripalas Sirisena to appoint a commission of inquiry to investigate the deal.
How can the misuse of state finance be allowed under these conditions in the absence of an agreement? How can they pump money into a private institution? We hope to file a complaint at the Bribery Commission tomorrow against these actions by Minister Rajitha Senaratne. If Minister Rajitha Senaratne has any sense of shame and if he loves the people of this country, we urge him to resign for the lies he told the country and the public.
Meanwhile, the State Medical Faculty Students Parents Association today concluded their 5-day satyagraha which was held in front of the Colombo National Hospital.
Minister of National Coexistence, Dialogue and Official Languages, Mano Ganeshan, says the government is being criticized for its transparency.
A program was launched in Colombo today by the Ministry of National Coexistence, Dialogue and Official Languages to make government form trilingual.
There are controversial ministers today. Last week we had Ravi Karunanayake and this week we have Vijayadasa Rajapaksa. But there are plenty of controversial politicians in the joint opposition. Those of us who are in good governance are faced with issues and are now in trouble because we work transparently. Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director of the Information and Communication Technology Agency, or ICTA, Mohandan Kanage, has resigned from his position. Kanage was appointed to the position in February 2015 and was reappointed for a second term in March 2017. Let's now take a look at some other stories making news across Sri Lanka.
Members of the National Force to protect the rights of war heroes engaged in a protest opposite Fort Railway Station for the 7th consecutive day today, claiming that their benefits were slashed. The Fort Police arrived at the location and held a meeting with a group of members of the organisation to inform them that the Additional Secretary to the President, Sunandakarya Peruma, has agreed to hold discussions with them. Acting Magistrate of Negombo KG Gamage issued an order to detain 2 suspects involved in a shooting between a criminal group and the Police Special Task Force until the 18th of this month. The order was issued last night after considering a request made by police to allow the suspects' detention for further interrogation. Reports have emerged of dead fish washing ashore at Kalawava in Anuradhapura today. The cause of death of the fish remains unknown, and our correspondent reports that residents were seen gathering the fish for consumption. Meanwhile, a similar incident was reported today at the Jayanthi Canal, which is part of the Giritale tank. Area residents were unable to use the water as a result. The reason behind the dead fish washing ashore is yet to be identified. Residents of Palamulla in Vaddegama set fire to a vehicle suspected of transporting cattle illegally last night. 4 suspects fled the area while 2 head of cattle were handed over to the police.
On to business news now. The largest passenger airplane in the world, the Airbus A380, made its maiden commercial landing on Sri Lankan soil today. Other Derana's Anuradha Fonseca has more.
The special flight named EK654 is the first A380 aircraft to land on Sri Lanka.
Emirates' iconic A380 aircraft made a one-off landing at the Katunayake Bandaranaike International Airport on its resurfaced runway. The iconic aircraft comes with state-of-the-art and unique amenities such as first-class suites, shower spas and on-board lounges. Minister of Transport and Aviation Maithripalas de Silva, the Ambassador of the United Arab Emirates to Sri Lanka Abdul Hamid Abdul Fattah Kazim Al Mullah and Senior Commercial Vice President of Emirates Ahmed Khoury were among the VIPs aboard.
Let's take you to the stock market now. The Colombo Bourse opened the week with mixed notes amid relatively low turnover. The all share price index closed 7 points to lower at 6,485, while the S&P SL 20 index edged higher by 10 points to close at 3,734. For a full report on the day's trading, let's cross over to Imesh Fernando from the Colombo Stock Exchange.
Top 5 gainers of the day were Perpetual Resorts, Test Agro Non-Voting, Test Agro, Ceylon and Foreign Trades and CM Holdings, while the top 5 losers were Renuka Holdings, SNB Leasing, Tangerine Beach Hotels, Nation Lanka Finance and Colombo Fort Land and Building. Today's foreign purchases were 177.87 million rupees and foreign sales were 139.75 million rupees.
On to sports news now. India completed a 3-0 whitewash of Sri Lanka in the Test series today, completing a second successive innings victory. Facing a 352-run first innings deficit, Sri Lanka began the day at 19 for 1 in their first innings and caved to 181 all out.
Massive inroads.
Dimuth Karunaratne could not repeat his heroics of the last game, falling to the bowling of Ravichandran Ashwin for 16 before night watchman Milind Pushpakumara departed for 1 run off 32 deliveries. Mohammad Shami claimed his second wicket of the day in Kusal Mendis for 12 before Angelo Matthews and Dinesh Chandimal tried to fight back. Their 65-run stand was broken by Kuldeep Yadav, who dismissed Chandimal, and Matthews fell victim to Ashwin soon after. Niroshan Dikwala top scored with a quick 41, but with Ashwin tearing through the tail, the result was always a matter of time as India romped to a dominant series victory.
It's 3-0 to India. I know it's been a tough series, but where would you put your finger? You think the toss was vital?
You can't, as I said, you can't control the toss, but actually this was a really tough series as a team. Credit goes to India. They played some outstanding cricket throughout the series.
What are your thoughts going forward? What are the areas you think you need to look at critically?
Yeah, especially our batting and bowling, especially, you have to be more patient and you have to do more concentration when you are batting or bowling.
Yeah, it's a good day, good win for us. Very happy with the overall performance. So always feels nice to have convincing victories, and today again we were able to finish off the game. So pretty good day for us.
India are the winners. 3 matches to 0.
Germany's Alexander Zverev upset Roger Federer 6-3, 6-4 in the Rogers Cup final in Montreal yesterday to join the Swiss right-hander as the most trophy-laden player on the ATP Tour this year with 5 titles. The 20-year-old German, who arrived in Montreal fresh off his triumph in Washington, proved up for the task from the very beginning of the final as he had the Swiss second seed on his heels.
Alexander Zverev was poised and aggressive off the ground to create space for his power game and displayed some short-angled winners of big forehands and backhands to grab an early break for a 3-1 lead. He consolidated to 4-1 up and ultimately closed out the opening set after a mere 30 minutes. Roger Federer started to find his groove early in the second set but suddenly appeared out of sorts as Zverev broke in the 7th game to pull ahead 4-3 and then held on for a surprise 68-minute win.
Let's move on to international news now. Australian Deputy Prime Minister Barnaby Joyce said today that he may not be eligible for Parliament after being told he is a dual citizen of Australia and New Zealand, potentially posing a threat to the Conservative government's hold on power. Australian politicians are not eligible to be elected to Parliament if they hold dual or plural citizenships, a rule that has forced the resignation of 2 senators in recent weeks.
Barnaby Joyce is the leader of the rural-based National Party, the junior partner in the centre-right Liberal National Coalition government that has just a single-seat majority in Australia's parliament. Political analysts said the government's majority would be eliminated if Joyce was forced from office, likely triggering an election. Joyce, who was born in Australia, said he was told by New Zealand officials last week that he may be a citizen by descent.
Needless to say, I was shocked to receive this information. Neither I nor my parents have ever had any reason to believe that I may be a citizen of any other country.
A massive landslide caused by a cloudburst swept 2 buses off the road into a gorge in India's Himachal Pradesh yesterday, killing more than 40 people. The incident took place in Mandai district, 431 kilometers north of New Delhi. A local official said rescuers have recovered 46 bodies and were trying to retrieve 1 more. India is one of the most disaster-prone countries in the world, and during the first 6 years of this decade, floods and heavy rains have claimed almost 1,500 lives. In the latest from the white nationalist violence in the United States, the organizer of the far-right march that led to violent scenes, including the death of a 32-year-old woman in Virginia on Saturday, was set upon by protesters yesterday as he attempted to convene a press conference.
Jason Kessler, organizer of the United the Right rally that ended in violence on Saturday in Charlottesville, ran away from a botched press conference at 2 p.m. yesterday after angry protesters descended on him. The white nationalist was seen fleeing into a police station, pursued by a crowd shouting "murderer" and "shame." Only a few hundred meters away from the police station, a candlelit vigil was held near the City Hall to mourn 32-year-old paralegal Heather Hare, who died after being hit by a car driven into a crowd of counter-protesters.
Pakistan celebrated its 70th Independence Day today with national pride and spirit soaring throughout the country. The celebrations comes amid tense relations with neighbouring India.
At the stroke of midnight on the 14th of August 1947, the British partitioned the British Indian Empire into the two sovereign states of Pakistan and India. At the same hour, 70 years later, Pakistan's army chief hoisted the biggest national flag ever flown in South Asia, kicking off Independence Day festivities across Pakistan. The main ceremony took place in Islamabad, where President Mamnoon Hussain called on Pakistanis to shun their differences and unite for the nation's future.
Katharina Chang is at the Weather Centre with tomorrow's weather.
A very good evening and welcome to the Weather Centre. Starting off with your temperatures tonight, we can expect a variation between 21 and 32 degrees Celsius over the next 24 hours. Now we can expect some wet weather in the northern part of the island, which is in Jaffna, as well as in Batticaloa, while thunder showers can also be expected in the central part of the island in Kandy. Intermittent showers may be expected in several areas of the western, southern and Sabragama provinces and in the Puttlam district. It's time to take a quick look at the city-by-city forecast.
And that is a part of your world tonight right here on Other Derana 24/7. I'm Mahesh Johnny. Katharina Chang will return tomorrow first at 9. Be sure to join her then. Before we wrap things up for tonight, we want to take you back to the Bandaranaike International Airport, where the world's biggest passenger jet landed this evening. Flight EK654 from Dubai is the first A380 to land in Sri Lanka and disembark passengers from Dubai after completing a commercial service. Thank you very much for joining us. Good night.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.